everybody, and welcome to a card review with a competitive focus on Raffine Scheming Seer. And I gotta say, I really like this card. So it's an esper commander for only 3 mana, white, blue and black, 1/4 with flying and ward, and it's a Sphinx demon. I mean, lore-wise, it kind of makes sense. Sphinxes are known in Magic for being teachers, and, well, demons in Magic can apparently also be teachers. I mean, we have demonic tutor. But the cool thing about this legendary creature is whenever you attack, target attacking creature conveys X, I hope I pronounced that correctly, where X is the number of attacking creatures. And that means you're gonna draw X cards, then discard X card, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature for each non-land card discarded this way. There already is a commander out there that does the exact same thing, Varina Lich Queen, but just straight up weaker. It's for 1 more generic mana, and it only triggers on zombies, and you gain life. You still draw, you still discard, but you only draw and discard because of the amount of zombies that you have. And this Rafine is increasing the power of one of that specific attacking creature. Now sure, Varina can actually make some zombie tokens, but I don't think that is giving her an appeal over Rafine. I have actually viewed Varina Lich Queen as something of cEDH viable. Her drawing card ability is pretty decent. The problem is that it's zombies, and now that we have a much better version that is doing the exact same thing, but just completely better, for 1 less mana also, I mean, I don't think Varina has anything to offer in cEDH anymore, sadly. That is just the kind of truth about any competitive format. If there's a card that does the exact same thing, but better, that other card that is just weaker isn't viable at all in that format. Because a big problem with Varina is just that it has to be zombies, where in Raffine's case, it doesn't matter what creature it is. It literally doesn't. So you might as well throw in a bunch of hatebears like Doffy Voidwalker as an example, and then you attack with Doffy Voidwalker and a few other hatebears, and suddenly your Doffy Voidwalker grows in power, and you draw and you discard cards, and you don't have to play tribal zombies to make it work. I mean, just imagine if this commander actually had green in it. I mean, that might actually be a little bit too good, because you could use your mana dorks to get your Rafine into play consistently turn 2 with a turn 1 mana dork. Also, you don't need to actually connect or deal any damage, so this Bird of Paradise can actually attack and create the trigger, and it's going to grow in size as well, potentially, if you were allowed to do this, which you aren't. But we have a lot of really clean, straightforward game plans with this commander as well. All we need to do is just put a bunch of hatebears into play, various versions of hatebears, attack, draw cards, make your hatebears grow, dump a few cards into your graveyard, suddenly you discard a razaketh to your graveyard, and then you reanimate your razaketh with one of your many variants of reanimation spells. And then you can simply just sit and sacrifice your hatebears into razaketh and tutor for amazing combo cards and win the game. And we do have access to blue and black, so here's a pretty clean and straightforward combo for you. But honestly, with all the card art that you can actually acquire with this, it doesn't really matter what kind of strategy you're on. You also don't have to have a whole bunch of hatebears inside this deck, because attacking with only this, drawing 1 card, discarding a card, it's fine, it's not great, but it's okay. But it is great that it has access to white, because you get access to a lot of really great white hatebears. But it also creates a pretty good, or yeah, honestly pretty good Voltron strategy, and I even think that you should start to consider Serra Ascendant, as it's gonna be a 1 white mana 6/6 inside this deck that will help you with your attack theme. And if you're not able to win the game because you're staxing so much, you're delaying the game, then you can go to the beatdown plan. I mean, that ability to give +1/+1 counters on your creatures continuously is going to actually get there eventually if the game goes long. I actually think that flyers, hatebear with flying, is quite key here, because that evasion means that they can attack more safely. You could start to put +1/+1 counters on them, but if you want to attack with a lot of really squishy creatures, you might lose some in the connections of blockers. So it's good that some of them actually have flying so that they can just go over the blockade. It's also important to mention that you don't need to actually attack with Raffine Scheming Seer, so you don't need to have something like haste. So what you do is that you just put a bunch of hatebears into play, you build a critical mass of like 2 or 3, and then you slam dunk this commander, and then you attack with those hatebears, and you get the value on the same turn as you're casting this. I actually think this play pattern is going to be very similar to Vinota, pretty much the same feeling, kinda. We can also actually synergize a little bit more on the discard theme, playing a bunch of spells with flashback you can cast from your graveyard. I really like Deep Analysis, 2 mana, pay 3 life, draw 2 cards, casting from the grave, that's kinda nice. Also, Flash of Insight, one of my favorite. Blue, generic, remove X blue cards from your graveyard, and you may look at the top X cards of your library and put one of them into your hand. And it has instant speed that you can cast from your graveyard for only 2 mana, like an impulse. But one of the more busted ones, and I think it's gonna be an absolute must-have include, is Dread Return. Flashback, sacrifice 3 creatures. Return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Do you remember that Razaketh? I mean, it's just building itself here. This entire video is literally turning into a deck tech video actually. But like I said, it just builds itself. Now, I haven't actually built a deck list for it, so no, it's not a true deck tech video. Also, I think there's some other potential strategies here as well to mention. For example, you can easily go for Doomsday with this deck. All you need to do is just cast your Doomsday. You only need to have your commander in play, just attack with your commander. If that's the only creature, that's fine, because you're going to crack the Doomsday pile. Now, here is a very simple Doomsday pile for you. It's not the best pile, but it will make sense soon. Begin with attacking and getting that draw card, discard a card effect, drawing into Frantic Search. Cast Frantic Search to draw 2 cards, discard 2 cards, and untap 3 lands. Discard Vass's Oracle to the graveyard. But keep Reanimate inside your hand. Discard something else. Then cast Reanimate, targeting Vass's Oracle, bringing it back into play. And currently, you only have 2 remaining cards inside your deck, which means your devotion is going to be higher than your deck size, and you're going to win. But the cool part about this commander is that we don't really need that much Frantic Search. The commander is literally doing the Frantic Search for us. So imagine we have our commander in play and a bunch of other creatures, and you attack with a total of 5. Because now we can sculpt something like this Doomsday pile. Vassas is going to the graveyard, and a bunch of other cards from your hand is going to your graveyard, but you're gonna have Reanimate and 3 to cast counterspells at the ready for the counter war. However, I don't know how good that is actually, because if they're going to counterspell something, they're gonna counterspell Doomsday before you have all your counterspells in your hand, so yeah. But there is something really cool we can do. I mean, now we're being really techy, but it is kinda cool. Remember that Wingmare that is increasing non-creature spells by 1. We have something called Boseiju, who shelters all. Now, Boseiju and Doomsday doesn't actually work together, because Boseiju is generating colorless mana, and you need 3 black mana. But if you have a Wingmare in play, you're increasing the Doomsday by 1 more generic, and now you can use Boseiju to actually make your Doomsday uncounterable. Boseiju isn't that bad inside the deck as a general card, because I mean, you have Tainted Pact, that's also 1 generic. It's very hard to actually counterspell Vass's Oracle because it's a creature, and if you can make your Tainted Pact uncounterable as well, it's getting really tricky to actually deal with this combo. And honestly, I don't find a problem having something like Peer into the Abyss inside this deck, and now Boseiju is great. Oh, more synergies, guys. Discard isn't what it used to be. We have this very new Containment construct for 2 mana only, 2 colorless mana. It's also a creature, so it will actually fuel Rafine, as its game plan is having just creatures in play. Whenever you discard a card, you may exile that card from your graveyard. If you do, you may play that card this turn. This literally transforms every single card you discard into a madness card. I think this is really good, and I actually think Containment Construct is a must-have auto-include for this deck. I also just can't help myself for ranting once again about one of my favorite lands inside the Magic the Gathering universe, Cabal Pit. I mean, it's only tapping for black, so that's bad. But it comes into play untapped, that's good. It will deal damage to you when you tap it, that's bad. But if you have Threshold, and acquiring Threshold here is very easy, you can sacrifice it by paying 1 black mana and tap it, and give a creature -2/-2. So it's interaction on a land. It's also interaction in a land that you have in play. So you can have it in play, tap it, and use its mana for a while, and when you truly need it, you can then use it to destroy a creature. Now, the big reason why I'm personally so sold on Cabal Pit is of the existence of Grand Abolisher, a card you should absolutely play in this deck. But during your turn, your opponent can't cast spells or activate abilities of artifact, creatures, or enchantments. Lands are good to go. And Grand Abolish is one of the most dangerous cards that your opponents can have in play, because they prevent you from interacting with them. But with a Cabal Pit, you can still get rid of that Grand Abolisher. In the end, the amount of different cards that synergize with this and the amount of potential decks that you could build makes it into a really interesting commander, actually. I think this commander is going to pop up a lot. A lot of people are probably gonna really like it as well for its Voltron potential too. Killing someone with commander damage is absolutely a possibility here. I think it has it all. It has 3 colors, more would be good, but 3 is absolutely fine. It has a free mana cost, that's very low, that's great, it comes into play early. This is a commander that is key for the deck's game. This is the deck's engine, so you want to have it on low CMC. It has 4 toughness, so it's pretty durable actually, and can act as a tiny blocker. Flying, it can get through, so going for that commander damage thing is potential because it has evasion. It's going past these mana dork chunk blockers. It has card draw, it has a discard theme, so you can do some really cool reanimator tricks, and you can do some cool tricks with doing things from the graveyard as well. It is a great commander that's gonna see a lot of potential play. Take care, guys. Thank you for watching. See you around. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video. If you like what I do and you wanna support me, feel free to share my videos or even checking out my Patreon page. Also, purchasing cards from the TCG Players website using the affiliate link in the description below of the video will also help the channel grow. So a big thank you to all of you.